Hello and welcome back to the Michael J. Rinder Aftermath Foundation YouTube channel. I'm your host for today, Claire Headley, volunteer board president for the foundation, and I'm joined by my co-host, the amazing Phil Jones.
Amazing, Phil Jones. Hi, Claire. Nice to be here again.
Good to see you, Phil, as always. And just I wanted to just pause and say, I think it's fair to say we have so much momentum being gained through the work of the foundation. We're building an amazing team of incredible people. And I'm just so grateful to the many people who have donated, supported, commented, spread the word on the work we do in any form. It's really tremendous and gratifying to see so many people reaching out to the foundation. Anyway, and I'm very grateful for all the work that you do in support of our mission.
Oh, thanks, Claire. It is nice that it's coming together so well. I mean, but like you say, with all the staff that the help that we get, it just does feel good. I mean, it's becoming a really well-oiled machine, and we're definitely helping people. Things come in on a regular basis, they get routed properly, and we can help a lot of people, which is really nice.
Yes, very definitely. And of course, one of the primary purposes of wanting to do this series was to deep dive on each of the different programs that we have, talk about the successes, talk about how it works, answer all the frequently asked questions that the foundation receives, and just, talk about what's going on, news and updates and so forth. So thank you for being willing to partner with me in this endeavor.
Well, it's fun, to get, and it is nice to kind of dig into some of this stuff. We some of the things that we've covered, I find it sort of brings up some little anecdotes, things that I've run into over the years and haven't really thought about. So it's kind of a fun look at where we've been for the last 40 years.
Right. I know. Totally. There's Mark and I have talked many times. It seems that because we worked such long hours, for us anyway, in the Sea organization, it feels like we have double the years of experiences and things to talk about just because of the hours that we worked,
Yeah, from those hours, I can't even imagine. I avoided the Sea Org like the plague.
Good
I
job.
wouldn't go near it. In fact, there was somebody I knew in Toronto who was going to join the Sea Org, and it was basically announced the day before she went, and I tried to talk her out of it. I said, "Don't go, don't do it, don't do it." And I know her now. She's been out for some years, and she's said to me numerous times, she said, "Phil, I should have listened to you back then."
Yes. And speaking of which, by the way, again, as you said, we have people reaching out to the foundation all the time. And I did just want to mention that we have been made aware many times now of the ongoing current practice of recruiting minors into the Sea organization. And we are here to help and support and report and encourage anyone who has knowledge of that to do the same. We did a video where we listed all the different governmental agencies that you can report abuse of minors to, particularly in regards to education violations and so forth. So just thought I would mention that.
Even here in Canada, there was a month ago, there was a 15-year-old girl. They were trying to get to join the Sea organization here. We tried to get it reported and didn't, but I didn't hear back to hear how it resulted, but because it's really hard to get information. Scientology kind of keeps things protected really well, or information wise. So I'm hoping that what we ended up doing prevented her from going in, but they are recruiting. They're out there recruiting, and they'll recruit kids.
Yeah. Yep, we will continue our dedication to make it illegal to do so, but we're not there yet, and that's a obviously one of many factors of why this work is so important. So yeah, awesome. Well, before we resume on our Scientology myths versus facts, or like you like to call it. What is it you like to call it, Phil?
Hit or myth?
Yeah, there you go.
Scientology is just one big hit or myth. It's a big
Yeah.
myth.
Yes. But before we do that, we are going to just run through and recap on one of the newest programs that the foundation
Yeah.
has started, which is an online support group. So let me pull this up here and we can talk about this, learning about our support group program. And what do you say, Phil? I think it's fair to say that this has been universally incredibly successful.
Oh, 100%. It's really refreshing to see how many people are interested. And then the people who have been participating, the feedback we've been getting and the testimonials, successes, whatever you want to call them, are really, really good.
Mhm.
Rachel Bernstein, who runs it, she's brilliant. She's been in the mix in all of this for years. She's never been in Scientology, but she knows Scientology. She knows about all the ins and outs of it. We met her even back in 2016, and she was already, well versed in how Scientology works. So she knows how to run this, how to handle it. She's a professional therapist, and it shows. The people who are going in it. I mean, it's been expanding, and I think we're at this point looking to set up a second group at this point,
Yes.
because it's
Yes.
been so popular.
Yes, for sure. And the second one will also be in a time scheduled for a time every other week that is friendly to UK and EU time zones.
Yeah,
So as we've covered before, anyone interested, please do reach out to contact at theaftermathfoundation.org to get more information.
yeah,
And yeah, I think back to what you were saying about Rachel Bernstein, her knowledge and understanding of the language, the doctrines, the programming of Scientology is really makes her approach very, very helpful.
yeah,
I would say when I first got out of Scientology, I was, of course, having been born and raised in Scientology, terrified of psychologists, psychiatrists, even the thought of mental health was like absolutely not something I wanted anything to do with. And so initially I thought, well, I'll just read books and, kind of sort through things on my own terms, which is fine. However, then I came to realize, well, wait a minute, having been born into Scientology, how am I supposed to know what my own pitfalls are? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking about this from the wrong perspective, and just simple shifts of going, well, wait a minute, what about this? What about this? What about this? Anyway, I think it's I've heard people talk about therapists and, do they need to know Scientology? Do they need to not know Scientology? And I just think I'm not answering that question one way or the other, but I am saying that knowledge of the language and the
yeah,
practices and the abuse and the ways in which Scientology manipulates and controls people is incredibly helpful, because you then have a you know a step back
yeah.
to understand what the person might be struggling with.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you don't know what you don't know, and you've been in a cult for that many years, for decades, and um, it's even now. I mean, there's things that I probably say that are a little cult oriented, where, language wise, and I still, even after over a decade, still struggle on some of the words occasionally. But I have heard too from people who are looking for therapists, who sometimes go through a number of therapists to try to find somebody who does have some of that knowledge or background. Not that everyone might need that, depending on what their issues are. They might find a therapist that they fit really well with. So it's not like a set in stone thing that you have to find a therapist that knows Scientology. But for a lot of people, I think it is important to find somebody like Rachel who does have that background and
Yeah.
the knowledge of it.
For sure. And speaking of which, there's been an ongoing project for, gosh, the last couple of years now, in which we had volunteers who are psychologists, psychiatrists, and professors of psychology specifically, compiling a therapist fact sheet specifically with the intent of kind of providing a guide, so any therapist could read that and at least immediately better understand what what they're facing when helping someone recover from Scientology. So hopefully we can, publish that one of these days, because I think it's an amazing immediate overview that's very, very helpful for anyone.
Yeah, I mean, tools like that can be valuable to somebody just to kind of get them sort of settled a bit from
Yes,
having just launched out of the cult and getting their feet under them a little bit more.
absolutely. All right. Well, moving along here, as we've been discussing, the online support group is led by Dr. Rachel Bernstein. Rachel's background, she has helped former cult members and those who have loved ones in cults and highly manipulative relationships for more than 30 years. She specializes in helping people who have been through difficult experiences or who have past that are hard to share or explain, tell their stories in empowered ways and without shame. She's a yearly presenter at the International Cultic Studies Association conferences, provides individual counseling, family counseling, and support groups for former cult members, helps families who are trying to reach out to their loved one in the cult.
Yeah, that's got to be a tough one right there,
Yeah.
especially with Scientology, where the idea of getting any communication into loved ones in the cult, that right there is very difficult. If you can make the contact, it is nice that there's someone there like Rachel that could help navigate it, because sometimes I think just from desperation, sometimes people get a little desperate and they sort of get a little too strong in their communication, just because it's been so difficult, and they're afraid that they're going to have only one chance at communication, and sometimes they'll push it a little too hard, whereas someone like Rachel can steer them a little bit better on something like that.
Completely. Yep, absolutely correct. How it started. So yes, we started a therapy group based in Los Angeles, California. This was last year in October, so October 2024. Then we expanded the program to be online in order to serve more people, and currently meets every 2 weeks via Zoom. And as we just mentioned, we're about to open a second group because of the overwhelming success of this program, to offer. So essentially, there will be a group that meets every week, with this second group being added, which is amazing.
Yeah.
How it's going. The online support group has been very successful and is growing by the week. Applying to join is easy. And yes, I think it's worth mentioning, of course, always with everything that we do at the foundation, security and anonymity are really, really important factors. The amount of people that reach out who are under the radar, looking for help and afraid of disconnection, and all the all the elements that go into pulling away. So I think it's important to mention in regards to this that, of course, yes, we have to screen who we let into the group, not only for the safety of the person joining, but also of every other member of the support group. We do have a simple intake form that only goes to Rachel. It's for her eyes only, so she can know what the individual is looking for, how she can best support and ensure their experience is positive. And being that it's Zoom, we just, for every single meeting, use a dedicated Zoom link. Like not what I'm trying to say is, you see people who just use a Zoom room. It's always the same link, and these are individual links. So that way,
not just anybody can log in.
Exactly. Only the people that RSVP'd for that meeting get that link. So yeah.
And any communications requesting or information about the group, as Claire said, it is confidential. Eh, we do that for everything. I mean, even you look at our testimonials and our Tuesday testimonial videos, they're done anonymously just because a lot of people don't want to have their name out there, so we just don't put their name on any of them. But they are true testimonies. They're actually word for word what people are saying to, what their successes are
Yep,
and from the group. So
absolutely. Yes, we're very grateful for their feedback, and and again, we went back and forth on anonymous versus not. We just don't feel from the foundation standpoint that it should be our decision whether the person shares their name or not. If they choose to speak out on their own terms, that's amazing. But we also don't ever want to have any kind of presentation that help is linked to speaking out. I think
right,
that's the best way
right,
to say it.
right.
So
Yeah, we're here to help, and we're not asking for anything for it.
yes, absolutely.
We're here to help you get on your feet, get stable, get independent, and get your life together. That's what we're here to help do
Exactly.
that.
No strings attached.
No strings attached.
Yes. Would you like to read this one, Phil?
Yes, testimonial. Being part of this group has been deeply healing. It's one of the first places I felt completely understood by others who truly get it. The compassion, shared experiences, and support have helped me release a lot of shame and isolation I didn't even realize I was still carrying. Each meeting reminds me that I'm not alone and that cult recovery, emotionally, spiritually, and mentally, is possible. It's given me a sense of community, strength, and hope that continues to ripple into other areas of my life. That's beautiful, actually.
It is. It is so powerful. All right, I'll do this one. Testimonial. This has been a safe place to connect with people who have had a similar experience to mine. Over the past 2 years, I've been a bit apprehensive about who I connect with, mostly due to the unsafe environment created by others. With this group, I know I'm safe. I can share when I want, or I can just listen. There is no pressure. Again, mirrors everything that we've been
Yeah,
talking about in relation
yeah,
to this program and why it's so important to the work of the foundation.
yeah. So if you're interested, if it is something, if you're an ex-Scientologist and you want some information on it, just send us a note. There's a contact form on our website, and the aftermathfoundation.org.
Yes, perfect. What participants want to share with others? I'll let you do this one.
If you're hesitant, I completely understand. It can be hard to open up after what many of us have been through. But this group is different. It's a place of genuine safety, empathy, and healing. You don't have to have it all figured out to belong here. Simply showing up is enough, and you may find that the understanding and connection you receive are exactly what you've been needing. Join up. Your level of participation is completely up to you. You don't even have to show your face if you don't feel comfortable. We're all here for you.
Amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Summary. Receive and offer support. Speak about your experience. Learn about your past. Meets every other week for 90 minutes. And it's expressly for those who were in Scientology. And again, now there will be two groups. So each
Yeah.
will be every other week, 90 minutes with two different times. So we'll be able to include people in other time zones from other parts of the world, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And that's how to join up. You just send an email to contact@theaftermathfoundation.org. All right. So that was a good recap, I think.
Yes. Oh, we got cut a little short last.
We did. And it's all good,
Yeah.
the I think it's helpful to just constantly remind people of
Yeah.
the programs and help that
Yeah.
we offer. So doesn't
Yeah.
hurt.
That's true. Yeah.
All right. So Scientology's myths versus facts. So we did part one of this a couple of weeks ago. We'll include the link to part one in the video description. And picking up where we left off there, let's see here. The one we ended
Yeah.
on
Well,
last time was if you're struggling, it's your fault. You must have pulled it in, which of
right.
course.
We did cover it, but there's one of the things I was thinking about on that is that there is in Scientology is very hierarchical, where you've got a senior, they've got a senior, they've got a senior, and all the, I don't want to say the word refuse goes downhill.
Yeah.
So if something bad is happening, often, somebody saying you've pulled it in, it'll go down. And I had, when I was protesting at Author Services once, when they had their Battlefield Earth book relaunch, and um, I was surrounded by OSA people, and they were kind of right up in my face for the whole thing. One of them said to me, he said, "Well, losing your kids here, you pulled this in."
Mm.
And so I looked at him, and I pointed over to John Goodwin, who was the president of Galaxy Press, who was running the event. I said, "Well, didn't John Goodwin, isn't he pulling in this protest that we're doing?"
Mm-hmm.
We had signs out there. We had a whole bunch of people out there protesting. And the guy was silent for a minute, was like, "No, no, no." I said, "Well, yeah, he pulled it in. John Goodwin pulled in this protest." But you can't push it uphill in Scientology. It's always pushed downhill.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's all levels of
yeah,
CYA,
yeah,
as David Miscavige used to state.
yeah,
And then at one point, David Miscavige was on a complete roll about CYJA, cover your juniors.
wow,
Yeah, crazy, right? It's just,
yeah,
oh my gosh.
yeah,
But it is, I think this one is particularly coercive and manipulative in that anything that's wrong, it's because of you. So
yeah. I mean,
it's like the smoke and mirrors, it shoves it back on your on your shoulders, and as if there's something wrong with you. So it makes it unsafe even to say, "Oh, I'm struggling. I'm not, I'm not happy
exactly.
here," things like that.
And there's a huge amount of guilt in Scientology because of that. "Oh, I
Yeah.
pulled it in. Oh, I'm feeling ill, or I'm struggling, or whatever, or my statistics were down this week, or whatever it is. I must have done something wrong." It's just layers of guilt on layers of guilt. And
Yeah,
um,
for sure. And I think one of the most important first steps for anyone in Scientology is just to simply ask yourself honest questions. Are you happy? Is this
yeah,
what you wanted?
yeah,
Are you accomplishing your goals in life that you joined in the first place
right,
thinking you would achieve? I don't think anyone got into Scientology thinking that, or knowing even what goes on behind the scenes, the abuse, the manipulation. Obviously,
yeah,
they present a very carefully crafted facade to lure
right.
people in. So,
Yeah, even after being in for years as public, we didn't know a lot of the stuff that went on in the background.
yeah.
Um, it's always kind of hidden, but you do get the "it's your fault if you're struggling" thing.
Yes.
That's a standard. That's a standard thing with all Scientologists. "Oh, you pulled it in." It's like a little karma thing, kind
Right.
of.
But a twist on what karma actually is.
Right.
It's again
Yeah.
twisted and manipulated for sake
Right.
of control and leverage, which is
Control,
not
leverage,
my
and guilt.
understanding of what
Yeah.
karma actually is.
Yeah.
All right, well,
Yeah.
moving along here. Did that cover what you wanted to close up?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
All right. All right, I'll let you read this one.
the Sea Org is the highest form of honor and service. The Sea Org operates like a system of indentured servitude. Members work extreme hours, compensated with pennies per hour, work under intense pressure and constant surveillance, families broken apart, children neglected, and personal autonomy stripped away. It's not spiritual honor, it's exploitation. True honor comes from living with integrity, compassion, and freedom. And if you don't think you're watched all the time, there's knowledge reports where you're watched by friends, staff, other staff members, But also they've got electron. When we went to visit our daughter once at Author Services, as we were entering the door, our daughter leaned over, whispered in my ear, and she said, because she knows I'm a blurter, she said, "Just be careful what you say. There's microphones everywhere."
Mm.
And when Willie and I were sitting up in the book room, whatever it is in there, they all left the room. And I thought this was sort of weird. I think they were testing. They were probably listening. And I knew there were microphones. So Willie and I were sitting there. Oh, look what they've done. The room is so nice. But
Oh my gosh.
otherwise, I might have said something. I go, oh my God, these guys are like robots.
Yeah. It's literally, I mean,
Yeah.
it is unbelievable that it's that
Yeah.
level of scrutiny and
Yeah.
surveillance. It's literally like what you see in TV shows with the like, the sign, "Don't speak."
Yeah. Really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
Scary.
Yeah, and the Sea Org is the highest form of honor and service. Yeah, I mean, of course, the motto is "We come back." And I don't know about you, Phil, but the way I had that pushed on me as a child in the Sea organization was, of course, like, oh, well, you must have been a Scientologist last lifetime, so here you are again, and this is why you were born here, and it all makes sense, and you
Yeah.
chose wisely, and like, what?
Or a member of the original loyal officers from Xenu's invasion. But actually, I signed a Sea Org contract once
Really?
back in 1973 in Toronto Org. There was a guy, Dick Glass, the eloquent elephant, a musician, and he was in Toronto signing up people for the Sea Organization. And he convinced me to sign it, saying, "Look, if you sign it, it won't mean anything unless you activate it." So I thought, and I was just wanting to help the guy out. It's kind of so. Anyway, I signed it, and he said that to me right after. He said, "Welcome back," and I didn't feel anything. I go, "What?" Because I'd heard the thing about, okay, back for whatever reason. I didn't feel anything, so I thought, you know what, I'm never going to activate this thing ever, and I never did. But
Thank goodness for
somewhere
that.
somewhere there, it was a beautiful piece of paper with all this blue design on it with the Sea Org symbol and all that. But yeah, I never activated it. So maybe I've still got almost a billion years to go if I do decide to activate it.
Yep, you and me both. All right, moving along here. Scientology is growing and changing the world. Census records, academic studies, and independent investigations show Scientology has been shrinking for decades. Membership is estimated at fewer than 25,000 worldwide. The Ideal Org program creates an illusion of expansion. Many of these buildings are largely empty, and they serve as real estate investments and PR props. 100%.
Yeah. And I've seen that personally. When we were living in the States, and Willie and I would travel quite a bit, and we went, actually, we were under the radar and we did a tour of the Las Vegas org, not that long after it became Ideal and supposedly booming. So, and we had some friends with us, another couple who were still, I think they were still in. It was hard to tell because you don't ask people, are you under the radar or not?
Right.
So it was kind of hard to tell. But we did the tour of the org, and there was virtually nobody there in this Ideal organization in Las Vegas. And at the end, um, the wife of this couple that we were with, she said to the executive director, "So how's the Ideal org thing working for you guys?" And there was silence. There was nothing, because we literally saw maybe 2 or 3 people in the entire building through the whole tour. It was deserted, and we've been to other orgs. I've been to the Ideal org here in Canada and Ontario, been to the one in Denver, a number of them, and
Mhm.
I've never seen any crowds there, never a number of people, nobody lining up at the door trying to get in.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Um, Gosh, you reminded me of something. Oh, I know what I was gonna say. So what's your thought on this? From what I saw, again, growing up in Scientology and just being around Scientologists in the LA area, the Scientology verbiage to explore, like, is this person under the radar or not, is, oh, hey, so are you on lines?
Yeah. Well, that was used, but I always had a comeback for that, where we travel a lot. So I'm doing what do they call them? Remote courses, the
Oh, the
extension
extension
courses.
courses. Yep.
So I was always have that. I signed up for one just so that I could say that, and I had that same one. So I signed up. I never did it, but I had the same one signed up for years. Oh yeah, I signed up for an extension course. I'm just on that because we're traveling right now.
Oh,
And
nice.
but a good test to find out if somebody is in or out, ask them what they think of David Miscavige.
Hmm.
A Scientologist will never criticize at all David Miscavige.
Yep. True that. True that. Yeah, and also I think, just closing out this myth specifically, Scientology is growing and changing the world. Um, it's funny. First of all, how much of a, broad generality is that? Like,
Yeah,
there's absolutely nothing, and in fact, contrary, the statistics show the exact opposite of that. But I think, as much as the ideal org or the idle org program is intended to present, as is on this slide, a false facade of growth and importance and presence, um, equally it's intended to coerce and manipulate those still in, that there is growth happening, even though that's false.
yeah, and that's a good way to put it, is a facade, because it is a facade. The whole
Mhm.
ideal org thing, just and to a large degree, that's what it's for,
Mhm.
is to convince those members that are still in to contribute to the next one. Oh,
Yeah.
look how we're growing. We got this building, that building, that building, and they're not mentioning how empty they are. But
Yeah. Just like Wizard of Oz,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
behind the curtain, it's
yeah.
not what they're presenting. All right, let's see here. I'm moving along. All right, you want to do this one, Phil?
Yep. Disconnection protects you from suppressive people. Disconnection isolates members from their support systems, makes the organization the only source of belonging, reinforcing dependency. Families torn apart by disconnection often take years to reunite, if they ever do. Healthy relationships are built on unconditional love, not obedience to an organization. Real spiritual growth does not require severing ties with loved ones. The reason that Scientology does this, though, is because if someone is out or has gotten out or is critical at all, they don't want that person to influence the people that are still in,
Right.
because that does happen. So they're kind of like in a difficult position, because disconnection is so widespread that it causes incredibly bad public relations for Scientology. But on the other hand, if they had the connection, if they allowed the connection, family connection, there would be a lot more people convincing their loved ones to actually leave Scientology. Because
Right.
all you have to do is you sit, if you can't have a conversation with somebody in Scientology. It's never, even when you're in and they're in, you can't have an in-depth conversation
Mhm.
about any kind of doubts at all. If you were able to sit down and have a conversation with a Scientologist, all you have to do is, like what you said earlier, is, well, what did you get in for originally? Did you get that? And then all of a sudden you're planting seeds. So it's a tough position for Scientology, because they're using this as a tool to prevent people from leaving, but they're also preventing people from coming in because
Right.
their public relations is so bad.
Right. Yeah, I mean, disconnection has been around for what,
Yeah.
since 50s and 60s, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
and of course there are other organizations that use similar practices, but I would say that disconnection is really takes it beyond any other parallels. Like, for example,
Yeah.
my my father was in Scientology when I was born. He was staff at the Manchester Org in England. And he then decided he wanted nothing more to do with Scientology. And so I was 3 years old when I was disconnected from him. Of course, I was too young to even understand the concept, but it is unfortunately one of my earliest life memories of him just being gone one day and thinking that it was my fault. Um, and but like it the way my mother implemented this disconnection in my life was literally like removed all photos, all signs of him. It was literally like as if not only had he died, but as if he just never existed in the first place.
Yeah. It's amazing how the conditioning in Scientology can make you think that Scientology is more important than your family.
Right.
And it's scary how widespread it is, and it being that widespread just because it is just the conditioning is so insidious to do that.
Right. And even for somebody in Scientology, I would say, hey, don't you believe that communication is the universal solvent?
Yeah.
Isn't it true that's what's true for you is what's true? And if that's the case, then why can't if you're capable of confronting and shattering suppression, why can't you have a conversation just to talk things through with your own family?
I know what the answer would be right off the bat for anybody there would be, well, why would I want to put that N theta, that turbulation on my plate while I'm working hard to get it up the bridge?
Right.
That'd be their excuse. Well, it's my choice. I just don't want that upset in my life. But it's kind of like what they call, I guess, the thought stopping. They just
Yes,
can't confront that
gaslighting,
bit
thought
of it.
stopping, yeah, and
Yeah,
as you say,
yeah,
even though they'll say it's their choice, it is very well
right.
documented, it is
Yeah.
no such choice, and in fact, Scientologists, when they're ordered to disconnect from someone, are then incredibly fearful and afraid of the consequences were they to not comply with that order.
And that's what happened with us. We were told back in the early 2000s when there was, like, I guess they had the Facebook police, where these were Scientologists, public usually, who would monitor who other Scientologists were friends with. And then they would kind of jump on that person and say, hey, I noticed that you've got a person on your friends list who has gotten out of Scientology. You need to unfriend them.
Mm-hmm.
And my sister, being fairly high up on OT8 in Scientology, and anyway, she would contact us every once in a while and say, oh, you need to unfriend this person. I didn't want to kind of create any stir, so I would do that. And then one day she said, well, you need to unfriend this person. And there was a family that we'd known for like 25 years. They'd gotten out of Scientology. We knew them really well. They were really nice people. I said, no, you can't tell me who to be friends with.
Yep.
So it wasn't that we had gotten out and criticized. It was because we didn't disconnect from someone who had been disconnected from. I mean, it's just, that's how crazy it got.
Mm-hmm.
That just because we wouldn't disconnect from someone who had been disconnected from, then we got kicked out, basically. So it's that's how bad it got.
Yeah. I had an example of that too, where so my stepfather, of course, is still in Scientology, and but his family were never in Scientology, and so there was one of those family members that I hadn't seen or spoken to since the late 80s. Because of course I joined the Sea organization in 1991. I was already far removed from them and discouraged from talking to them in the first place because they were not Scientologists. And then I was gone. Poof. I could barely even talk to my family who were in Scientology during those years. Anyhow, 30 years later, this person reached out to me. And you know what prompted that was that my stepfather reached out to this person and told them to unfriend me on Facebook. And they were like, who the heck do you think you are?
Yeah,
They've
the
never been
nerve
in
of Scientology.
Scientology. Never
Yeah,
been in Scientology.
incredible. Yeah. Oh, it's amazing. Oh yeah, and they'll do that kind of stuff. They don't care. There was one time when they were trying to discredit us, and they were calling all of they were calling my wife's brother's ex-wife to discredit us.
Ugh,
Does Phil get angry a lot, or does he, it was like, what? Where is
yeah,
this coming from? It was just bizarre stuff. Scientology has no clue how the world really works.
right.
They're so closeted in their own uh, think and the way Hubbard wrote it all up. They have no idea really how the world works.
Right, exactly. There's no empathy, there's
Yeah,
no unconditional love,
yeah,
there's no sympathy because Scientologists think that's a negative, evil thing to have sympathy for somebody.
right.
And it's a very black and white approach, like, oh,
Yeah, yeah,
that's this, no
yeah,
shades of understanding, conceptualizing,
yeah,
really taking the time to expand a view or
yeah,
hear someone else's view. There's only, you know,
yeah,
pat responses
yeah,
of, "Do you always believe what you read in the newspaper?"
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, you need to do this. You know what you need to do. I've heard that a number of times.
Oh
Oh,
my gosh,
if you're
yes.
out. Oh, you're
Pick
out
up
of
the ethics book.
Scientology.
You know what you need to do.
You know what you need to do. And what they mean by that is there's a series of steps to get back into Scientology. A to E, I think it's called, but
Yeah.
it's basically you have to go through all this really terrible rigmarole, and you have to confess all your bad deeds. You have to let them know everybody you've talked to negatively about Scientology. Anyway,
Yeah,
but
well,
the whole,
to sorry, just to provide a
no,
little
no,
bit
go
of
ahead.
context. So yes, A to E steps are the steps that if you are in Scientology and or if you leave Scientology and you're declared a suppressive
Yeah,
person, as Mark and I were, um, you're the only person you can talk to until you've done those A to E steps
yeah,
is what's called the International Justice Chief, Mike Ellis, who works in Los Angeles and is a puppet for David Miscavige. But yeah, the steps A to E is step A is first of all, stop committing quote unquote suppressive acts.
right.
B is to make a public confession of all your alleged transgressions. C is to pay your freeloader bill. In my
Wow, you
case,
know
that would have
all these.
been $96,000. Step D, and again, I'm paraphrasing, so if I get
Yeah, no, I'm
that, but
amazed that
I'm
you know them all
yeah, unfortunately, I do. Step D is you have to redo all the training you ever did in Scientology
and
again
pay for it.
and pay for it. And
Yep.
step E is then you have to get approved to
Yeah.
rejoin the group. And that can
And
take years.
at that point, after spending several years on it, the chances are almost certain that they're going to refuse you at that
Right.
point.
Exactly.
Even though you've gone through years, you've paid them money, you've redone all your training, and they're at the end of it, they're going to go, well, sorry, out you go. You're
Right.
declared.
Yeah. And it's strange that like in like reflecting on when I escaped and so forth, initially I was prepared to do those steps solely because not because I, was ever chose to be a fanatical Scientologist. I never made that choice. The choice was made for me at birth. But nonetheless, the leverage and control they still
Yeah.
had over me with my family being all in Scientology, I would have done that for them. Of
Yeah.
course, Scientology made the decision for me when they declared us suppressive people and then immediately told my family, oh, that's it. You can never talk to her again.
Yeah. So, and that's basically what we're talking about. What they, if you're out and declared suppressive, a Scientologist often will say to you, you know what you need to do. I've had that said to me numerous times
Me too.
when I'm talking to Scientologists, and that's what they mean is like you got to contact the International Justice Chief, do your A to E, spend a couple of years, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and do whatever, and then maybe, just maybe, they'll let you back in,
Right.
but probably not.
Yep, exactly. Crazy, crazy. Well, I think
Yeah.
that should conclude our episode for today, Phil, if you're good with that.
That's fine. It's good. Yeah.
Awesome. We will continue this series. We have, of course, so many layers of myths versus facts and anecdotes that just highlight how manipulative and coercive these things are. But also, I think it's important to talk about because, hey, for anyone who's considering getting out of Scientology, it's important to consider these things for yourself and answer them for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Scientology is so full of myths, so many things that they state as being true, even in their statistics when they talk about how their growth is. When we talked about the ideal orgs, they'll lie about how many people are in Scientology. It's all a myth. So the thing to do is when you're looking at Scientology is go, is that true? Or is it a
Right.
myth? Let's look at what's the actual. And if it's a myth, you kind of go, okay, well, all right, what's the next one? Because they're so full of myths, you're never going to run out in Scientology.
Yeah. And I would also suggest, I think it's helpful to consider the answers to those questions, eliminating the Scientology words, because
Yeah,
even the
yeah,
words reiterate the lies and myths and manipulation.
right. And the thing is, what a Scientologist will say is, well, you need to read their books. You need
Right.
to look at their information. But if it's a myth, you're just going to perpetuate the myth by
Yes.
reading their books and their information anyway. So, or listening to what they're saying about it.
Yep. Completely. Awesome. All righty. Well, thank you, Phil. I will look forward to seeing you next time. And thanks to
Yeah,
everyone who joined, watched, commented. We appreciate you being here.
awesome.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Claire. Please help us to get to 10,000 subscribers.
And don't forget to push the notification bell to be alerted when new content is available.
For more information about how you can apply for help
or to become a volunteer,
visit us at theaftermathfoundation.org.
Thank you for watching.